In this tutorial, we'll cover configuration, backup, and restore. By selecting the Resource Manager, we'll be able to see all of the devices that we have discovered. One prerequisite to configuration, backup, and restore would be having a file server configured that has access to the device. Well, rephrase, that the devices have access to, and that your app server has access to as well. So going back to the resource view, if we selected a system that we have a login to, we can simply right click and select backup. We can give a file name if we'd like. We can select the file system, this being a Cisco device. We can select either the running config or the startup config to backup. We can select any supported protocols by the device. This device supports TFTP, FTP, or SCP. We do not have an SCP file server available to our server here, so we are going to use simply TFTP. If you wanted to use SCP, you would just need to make sure that you had an SCP file server available. And we'll go ahead and select backup now. And we successfully copied the configuration to the file server, and then we saved it to source control. This process is the same for any device. The device driver does all the heavy lifting with respect to commands that need to be issued. If you wish to do a group of devices and back them up, you can do a group operation. So, for instance, we could create a new group operation of file management, global backup, and select, let's say, all of our Juniper MTJs, and or maybe all of our Aruba devices, and then just execute this as a group. The process will be the same. To restore our configuration, we simply find the device, right click, select File Management and Restore. Now note, when restoring the running config in iOS, the configuration is merged. To overwrite the device's configuration, you should select Startup Config and then reload after the file is copied. Also, to make sure that to be doubly sure that this takes effect, you can also erase the startup config before copying your config. If we had multiple versions, the source control here would allow you to select different versions. Now, the device configuration has not changed since the last time we backed this device up, so if I attempt another backup, it will be noted that the configuration file was not checked in due to no changes since the last backup. If we modify the configuration, for instance, just change the NTP settings on the device, backup will be checked in. To compare configurations within the source control, right-click the device and select Compare. Now, we can display as many as you'd like. The default is to only show the last revision. So here we'll uncheck that and we'll see 2 and 1 here. So we'll select 2, we'll select 1, and we'll compare. And we note that a modified line has occurred here. It's scanning through the rest of the configuration. We note that there are no other changes. Some other options that you can do during backup would be to compare the configuration against a change determination or a current or any other file label that you have. You may have a compliant configuration file label that you have established that you could compare your current config to. And if a comparison does not check out, if there are lines that are not compliant, you could send an email to a contact or an email address. There are various other options. For more information, please see the user guide. To view the current config real time, we simply right-click and view the current config. We retrieved this 2 minutes and 41 seconds ago. If you wanted to see current, click refresh. A new backup is completed, and we'll see the new configuration.